Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the village board meeting of March 11th. Prior to the actual board meeting taking place, we will have two public hearings as required by law. The first will be the proposed Harwood TOD tax incremental financing district. Roll call, Mrs. Thomas.
Trustee Willis. Here. Trustee Harris Jones.
Here.
Trustee Hyperman. Trustee Mason.
Here.
Trustee Roman. Here. Trustee Opid. President Hopel.
Here. With regard to the resolution, Mr. Cummings.
Yes, one of the requirements to set up a TIF in the first place is you also have to have a public hearing. And also a joint review board meeting. The joint review board meeting has been held. However, when we sent out the notice in the back in January for the public hearing, there were still some items that were open. And those remain open at this time, and they're covered in the resolution that's in front of you. One is the negotiating a parking lot agreement with the church across the street. Second is a jurisdictional transfer for Harwood Avenue. And then third is also finalizing a redevelopment agreement with the developer. So my recommendation to the board tonight is to open the public hearing and then commence it. The reason that we want to continue it, let me catch my breath because I was running to get here. The reason we want to continue it is once you close the public hearing, then you're obligated to, if you choose to create the TIF, you've got between 14 and 90 days to do it. So rather than close the public hearing tonight and have those open items still pending, my recommendation would be nail down the details and then close the public hearing after there's a chance to review everything.
So in essence, what we're saying is to continue the proposed Harwood Avenue TOD public hearing until April 8th, correct?
Correct.
All right. Any comments from the public? Anyone in the audience? Board comments? Trustee Willis? Trustee Harris Jones?
Nothing for me.
Trustee Mason?
No.
Trustee Roman?
Nothing.
With that, may I have a motion to approve resolution R 3212 for the continuance of this hearing?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Mason, second by trustee Willis. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis. Aye. Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman. Aye.
The resolution, and I'll vote aye on that as well. The resolution is approved. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman. Aye. President Hopel.
Aye. Public hearing is adjourned. Second public hearing, the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis. Here. Trustee Harris Jones.
Here.
Trustee Mason.
Here.
Trustee Roman. Here. President Hopel.
Here. Ms. Zakowski, our finance director.
During tonight's public hearing, we'll be discussing the village's most important planning document, our municipal budgets. The draft budget was first discussed at the February 25th board meeting, and after this evening's public hearing, staff will bring the budget ordinance for approval to the March 25th meeting. A legal notice was published in the Daily Southtown newspaper on February 28th for tonight's hearing, and the proposed budget has been available for review on the village's website and at Village Hall during regular business hours since that same date. So local governments are required to use fund accounting to ensure proper segregation of resources and to demonstrate accountability to its residents. This slide shows the total village revenue by funds. A lot of the time during the budget process is spent on the general fund, which is the main operating fund of the village. It provides the financial support to provide municipal activities, programs, and services to our residents through police, fire, public works, and general government operations. This year's general fund revenues are approximately $28 million. We also have our water sewer fund that operates similar to a private business. The intent is that the cost of providing water and sewer services to the community will be recovered primarily through user charges, which in our case is water bills. There are no village tax dollars such as sales and property tax that are used to pay for any of the water and sewer service costs. Our special revenue funds include funds such as police seized funds, motor fuel tax, and the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. The next fund group is the TIF funds. We currently have 7 TIF districts, and additional information on each TIF is included in this year's budget. Our debt service fund is where the portion of the village's property tax collections that are related to debt are reported. These collections are then used to pay the principal and interest payments on the debt annually. So the village's total overall revenue across all funds is just over $39 million. So focusing just a bit on the general fund, over 75% of the general fund's revenues come from various tax sources. The village's activities, programs, and services are heavily dependent on sales tax revenue. It is our largest general fund revenue source at nearly 30% or $6.2 million of all the taxes that are collected, while property taxes used for general operations are just 12% or $2.5 million. The fiscal year 25-26 budget will be Homewood's first full year budget that will show and track gaming tax revenue from the based on recent payments received from the Illinois Gaming Board, just over $1 million is being budgeted for next fiscal year. This amount is after 50% of the gaming tax received is paid into the Public Benefit Fund, which was created to promote education and public health within the Southland community. This next slide shows the total village expense by funds. Once again, general fund is where the majority of the village's revenues and expenses both live. Another fund on this slide that wasn't on the previous is capital projects. The fiscal year 25-26 budget includes about $11.2 million in capital projects. The funding from these projects come from our previous general obligation bond, which was issued in September of 2024. We have general capital funds and water and sewer capital funds. Some of the significant upcoming capital projects include lead service line replacement, water main replacements, facility and infrastructure improvements, and village-wide camera replacements. Included in this year's budget, you'll find the village's 5-year capital plan as well. So once again, kind of focusing on the general fund, expenses here are dominated primarily by public safety and public works, as is the case with most municipalities across the country. The top costs that impact these budgets are personnel related. Salaries and health insurance make up over 60% of the general fund budget. Some of the new additions to highlight in this upcoming budget include contracting out the village's mowing services to be more efficient and effective, and contracting with a tree service company to assist with the village's tree trimming program. This will help the department return to best practices and expected 5-year maintenance program. The fire department has a couple of new leases within their budget. One is through Ecom for new fire department radios. It's a 7-year lease agreement. And the second lease is to replace cardiac monitors through a 4-year lease at a 0% rate. And then lastly, in this budget, includes funding for 3 additional police officers. So we project within the general fund a surplus of almost $160,000. This surplus is then added to the village's reserves, and that helps to maintain our minimum 5-month fund balance policy. So overall, the village's financial position remains strong. We have some capital funding challenges that will be further discussed in the coming months. And then a budget ordinance will be brought to the March 25th board meeting for adoption. Are there any questions from the public or the board?
Public comments with regard to the upcoming budget. Any comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just a quick question. So I think in the last meeting, so the casino revenue was going to go into the general fund.
Correct.
Was there any discussion or input from the community on other things that could be done with the casino revenue? Or was that just kind of like, we need it in the general fund and we're doing that?
We put it in the pot with the general fund. Expenses are rising. We we knew we wanted to fund some additional police officers. Other revenues are declining, so it kind of fills the gap there too. So at this time, the general fund is where those funds are needed.
So that essentially any casino revenue that the village is getting is sort of going to fund additional police officers.
It's going to fund the general fund. Yeah.
Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
I just had a question on the $85,000 general fund for the second incentive payment to Stony Point Grill. How many incentive payments are there? This is the second one. How many more?
There's 5 total.
And so they're all 85,000
Correct.
for the total of
425.
Any other comments? If not, board comments?
Thanks once again. Thanks for the information.
Trustee Mason?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Trustee Roman? Once again, it's a very good budget. We've met our needs and we have the revenues to meet those needs. So thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn from the public hearing, please?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, second by trustee Harris Jones. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis. Aye. Trustee Harris Jones. Aye. Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Rowan. Aye.
Welcome finally to the village board meeting of March 11th. Please join us in our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Mrs. Thomas.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Here.
Trustee Heidman. Trustee Mason.
Here.
Trustee Rowan.
Here.
Trustee Obid. Mayor Hopel.
Present. Representing staff this evening, to my left is our village manager Napoleon Haney, to my right, our village attorney Chris Cummings, to the audience's right, our police chief Denise McGrath, fire chief Bob Grabowski, the famous finance director Amy Zukowski, and our community development and economic development director Angela Maceras, public works director Josh Berman, and assistant village manager Terrence Aqua. The minutes of February 25th. Any additions or corrections, trustee Wood? Trustee Harris Jones?
Nothing for me.
Trustee Mason?
No, sir.
Trustee Roman?
Nothing.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Rowan.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. The claims list in the amount of $1,362,243.49. Comments or questions, trustee Willis?
No.
Trustee Harris Jones?
for me.
Trustee Mason?
No, sir.
Trustee Roman?
Nothing.
May I have a motion to approve the claims list, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Willis. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Rowan.
Aye.
I'll vote aye on that as well. The majority of that claims list is comprised of 3 items. A public works excavator, which was previously approved, a big piece of equipment for public works was $378,000. Our sanitary sewer lining was $98,000, and 1 month's village employees' health insurance, $249,000. That amounted to $725,000, or 53% of that claims list. Hear from the audience. If anyone in the audience would like to address the board on any subject not on the agenda, please raise your hand. Yes, sir. Please come up.
Hi, my name is David Sachs. I'm with South Suburbs for Green Space. The residents want the toxic pollution at Isaac Walton stopped. The statement by this board and staff that was put out yesterday about the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency's memo demonstrates bad faith and cynicism when we had hoped for sincere cooperation. This should have been an easy victory for all of you. For some reason, the village is spreading disinformation and science denialism in the face of extremely clear evidence that there are toxic chemicals and known carcinogens. I'm going to read a sentence from the IEPA memo. It says, "Fluorine was above the acute and chronic water quality standards. When a toxic chemical is at chronic levels, it means it hurts plants and animals over time. When it's in acute levels, it does immediate harm. I'll read it again. Fluorine was above the acute and chronic water quality standards. In plain language, this means the water has a toxic chemical in it at dangerous levels. I was so upset by your statement that I took a hike today over at Walton and I got this sample of water. If any of you truly believe this doesn't contain polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, that we're scaremongering about the class of chemicals or the amount in this water, then I invite you to wash your hands with it. See if you get a rash or test how brave you are to expose yourself to carcinogens. Because your residents fish in this water, their dogs play in this water, migratory birds and other wildlife make their home in this water. Isaac Walton is a prized natural area and you're all acting like villains from Aaron Brockovich by assuring the public that there isn't a problem and never was. You are trustees. If you don't understand the science or the issues at play, then you need to educate yourself and actually lead. Because the solution is really simple. Your own public works department has already done a dye test at Homewood Disposal. We know to a certainty the source of the contaminated water is from the sump pump pit at Homewood Disposal, exiting a municipal storm drain that you are responsible for. You need to work in good faith with Homewood Disposal and the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District on redirecting their sump pump pipe into a sewer with proper water treatment. Right now, the untreated water is flowing 20 feet straight from the sump pump directly into a flowing body of water. If a resident was doing something similar from their house, like in a Butterfield Creek, it would be a gross violation. The pipe needs to be redirected away from Isaac Walton. That's the first step in stopping further contamination of our prized forest preserve. You could have acted 3 years ago when the first citizens complaint was lodged, or in August when we went to the press, or in January when the IEPA gave you this memo that states clearly that there are toxic chemicals. I'm asking you to act today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else that would like to address the board this evening?
Hi again, board. I'm Liz Varmecki with South Suburbs for Green Space. And first of all, I want to thank the board and the village for starting the process of additional testing on the Isaac Walton Prairie Lake since the South Suburbs for Green Space has been asking for since September of last year. Next, I want to address the misinformation that was released by the village. Saying that in a call with the IEPA where no residents were present, that the IEPA determined that the Northwest Pond is not toxic, providing a link to a memo from the IEPA clearly indicating that it was, is exactly the type of misinformation that Amy Crump has been telling us about at every board meeting this year. You tell us that a chemical that is found in car exhaust and cigarette smoke is of slight concern at an amount that is 659% higher than the background rate for Chicagoland. This is one of the most egregious examples of paternalism since the Walt Brown debacle. I do not consider this of slight concern. Neither do most residents. The village's statement tells people to believe that this is of slight concern, and with every statement like this, you lose more credibility with the community. I was told that I would have a place in the conversation when the village met with the IEPA regarding the test results by Village Manager Haney when we spoke last year on the phone. After the initial meeting that I wasn't invited to, I was told that this was because the IEPA was just gathering background information from the village. And when the IEPA had information to share, I would be included. That was apparently disregarded. Instead, the village met with the IEPA and had a memo from the IEPA confirming at least one highly toxic substance at levels far beyond acute and miles beyond chronic for over a month before the village chose to share it with residents. This is not inclusion, and this is not transparency. The framing of what help the village was asking the IEPA for was actually not to analyze, but to dispute the facts. The village manager wrote to the IEPA on October 23rd, 2024, "Is there any new information that you would be able to share with me? The environmental group here in Homewood continues to disseminate literature that defines our North Pond as containing toxic pollution. Any assistance would be much appreciated." This framing may be indicative of why I wasn't invited to participate as I was told I would be. In the statement, the village claims that it immediately engaged the Environmental Protection Agency, but this was immediately after the press started reporting on the toxins, not when the toxins were first confirmed with data in February of 2024, not when the citizens' complaint was filed with the IEPA in March of 2022. Only when South Suburbs for Green Space and the press became involved did you take immediate action that resulted in a 3-page memo reanalyzing existing data issued more than 4 months later. This is not the sense of urgency that this issue requires. Finally, The statement released by the village states, until a full study and monitoring is completed, claims of toxicity should be approached with caution to prevent the spread of misinformation. This is peak gaslighting. There are no claims of toxicity. There is data showing toxicity, even in the memo that you cite. The entire statement from the beginning to the end is, and I'll be very generous, misleading. The community and the wildlife at Isaac Walton deserves better.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? Yes, sir. Ma'am. Sir.
We would all agree that this is a wonderful community. It's very interesting to drive on the Ryan, coming back from the doctors and see very, very many Homewood signs that are despicable spending of money. And I find it a very wasteful use of money to have signs in areas in the whole south side of Chicago, move to Homewood. It doesn't say welcome all, it just said move to Homewood. I find it a very disgusting way to spend money when there's other ways that money could be spent on. How many people in this room know that there's signs like that? We live in a very wonderful community and we'd like to keep it that way. All are welcome, not putting signs in unique neighborhoods in Chicago and say, move to Homewood. It's very disconcerting for seniors that are just barely holding on to the house with the very high taxes that went up. And I find it despicable. All are welcome, not just to the people that read the signs and decide they're going to move to Homewood. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening?
I'm still a little confused.
Oh, please come up.
Sure. I'm still a little confused about the parking lot of the Village Hall. Have we officially sold that parking lot? Is it a done deal?
No.
Okay. And have you put out an official solicitation for alternate bids regarding that property?
We did that actually twice.
Twice now. Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? Mr. Haney?
Yeah, so first, and I want to match the level of intensity. Actually, you can hear. And I get it. I understand. So just want to share a little bit. And Liz, the reason why you weren't invited to the meetings, you kind of declared that you were running. So none of the elected officials actually sit in on our meetings because we're a council manager form of government. That's considered the most professional government where staff is allowed to kind of manage the organization. So we don't have trustees or the mayor that sit in on meetings that we had during the day. So that's why, and I should have reached out and shared that with you, that as a candidate for an election or upcoming election, I want to make sure we kept that declaration. Let me finish. So, and I appreciate you guys.
Debate, please let him finish.
Not debate. I'm just stating some information. So I want to share with the public. It seems natural when people get up and they're passionate and they have this, this burning sound in their voice. But I want to share something with you guys. So when I became manager 3 years ago, when I found out about these claims of toxicity, the first thing we did was reach out to the IEPA. Now, the IEPA protects, or from their website, the Environmental Protection Agency protects people and the environment from significant health risks, sponsors and conducts research and develops and enforces environmental regulation. So we didn't go to a substandard group. We went directly to the IEPA. That's what we went to. We reached out. The guy's name is Tom Bennett. He's an actual bureau director with the Bureau of Water. Reached out to him, and as you heard from Liz's statement from the email, I shared with him, we're being hammered. Sun Times, WBDM News, the Southtown Star. We've been hammered saying that we're sitting by while a pond is toxic. I shared that with them, even in the email that she shared. And how did they respond? They responded, they said, send us all of the information that you have. The only thing we had was a Bryan study. We asked a local environmental group to do some testing. We partnered with the Isaac Walton group to do a test. Now, the strange thing about this test is, as some of you guys know, which will make sense, when you test water, you don't test it one time. You need to test it multiple times to kind of figure out a baseline for that water, because certain conditions could skew the results of that pond. High water, rain, other issues, storms. So we understood that one testing was not sufficient. We talked with Isaac Walton, John Brinkman. They understood that one test was not sufficient. So they didn't want to use any more Ryan's study. But they took that study, and for some reason, that study showed up with the Sun-Times, and now it's toxic. So I want to share, I want to fast forward, because I don't want to take all night, but I just want to share this and be transparent. Our staff, we love Homewood. I'm a resident, some of our staff are residents. We love this place. Our goal is to be open, transparent, to share information. There's no need to hide anything. You know, we don't get paid for hiding information. So I just want to share some information with you. So fast forward, the IEPA takes this Bryan study and does an analysis on this Bryan study. That's all we have. We press them. I send them an email every week. Hey, is anything happening? Can we get into some information? They finally sent it to 3 other areas in the IEPA, and they sent back this email with this analysis. And this is what it says. Napoleon attaches the water quality based effluent limit and analysis of the sample results by the concerned citizens from the Isaac Walton Preserve stormwater detention pond. The report identifies that the majority of the sample substances were determined to have no reasonable potential to exceed water quality standards. It then provides recommendations for any future surface water monitoring at this location, including the following substances. First, fluoranthene, mercury, dissolved arsenic, dissolved cadmium, dissolved lead, dissolved iron. Now, being the IEPA, constant communication on the phone with these emails and this study, if the IEPA even had a hint that a pond was toxic, I would assume it would show up in a writing. I would assume it would show up in a report. I would assume it would show up in an email. If the IEPA, the highest regulatory agent that deals with water, be it detention water, storm water, they would have something in there that says toxicity. The entire time this was going on in the newspaper, WBBM, the Sun-Times, all in the news articles, we sat quietly because these are our neighbors, right? These are our neighbors. We have to live, we live with, these are our neighbors. There's no animosity, there's no adversity. These are our neighbors. So we sat quietly until we got some information back from the IEPA. But what else can you do? So moving forward, so the IEPA sends back their information, no sentiments of toxicity anywhere in there, and you guys will FOIA it and we'll send it to you. There's nothing in there about toxicity. So what we said we will do, we sat down with John Brinkman of the Isaac Walton Preserve for the entire last 5 months. So we sit down with the Isaac Walton Preserve, we bring them up to date. So they have been a part of this. They have been intimately engaged with every single section, sector part of the IEPA meetings and figuring out the RFQ. So now we have a request for qualifications. So what is the Village of Homewood gonna do? We're going out to a major vendor. We're going to find a vendor. We're going to find an engineering consultant that does this for a living, that knows that you just can't take a baseline sample one time. You got to do multiple samples through a season to find out what the actual baseline issues are. Lastly, and I'm going to be quiet, man, thank you for being patient with me. The last thing is Isaac Walton Detention, Isaac Walton Prairie Lakes. We call it Prairie Lakes. It's an amenity in our community, but it's actually a detention pond. It's where all of the runoff and stormwater from all of the surface areas collaborate and come together to be stored so that other areas around in Homewood are not flooded. It's a detention pond. Yes, you can fish in it. I wouldn't recommend you eat fish out of it, but yes, you can fish in a detention pond. Like, what's the pond near you? The
Dolphin Lake.
Dolphin Lake. Dolphin Lake is a detention pond. I wouldn't recommend swimming in it. It's a detention pond. So I just wanted to share that. We'll continue to be transparent. Our information that we shared was not meant to offend anyone, but it's all we have. So the IEPA shared this information. We shared it with the public, and we will continue to do that moving forward. Thank you. Liz, what was the date of the email that you shared? I'm sorry. Oh, the date of the letter? January 29th, 2025. January 29th, 2025. And this is all available on our website, by the way.
I mean, just don't do it in the summer, in the spring, in the fall, because everybody uses Isaac Walton.
Yes, ma'am.
People take their children, and these people play baseball there, and you don't want anybody drinking water that isn't safe.
Oh, that is correct. Thank you.
Okay.
And we will continue to test it once we find a vendor. We will test.
Mr. Haney will keep us apprised of this.
Can I add something, please?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
I wasn't going to publicly speak about a conversation that I had in private with somebody, but those were some pretty wild accusations that you just came up here and threw at us, so I feel like I want to share a conversation that I had with a friend of mine who grew up here in Homewood. She works in a position where she works with legislators to write legislation to protect ponds and lakes. That's her full-time job, okay? I sent her the reports, I sent her the findings from everything, because I genuinely wanted a third-party opinion. I wanted to know, I'm hearing different sides of things, I read things on Facebook, I hear the reports and I hear everything that we're doing behind the scenes. I wanted a third-party opinion. I'm gonna share with you some excerpts from my conversation with her. She said, "That looks very straightforward to me. What the village did here was what needed to be done. Having Florentine is not ideal, but I came to the same conclusion that there isn't any way to fix it based on the history of the site. I think the consultant in conjunction with the IEPA is a good reason to feel comfortable with the assessment. I feel the IEPA doesn't always have the resources, but the types of tests that I would feel most concerned with would be covered by either and or both entities." So it's one thing, I mean, you can base your opinion on whatever you want to base your opinion on. We've asked experts, we've got third-party opinions. To your point, I don't know anything about ponds and lakes. I went to an expert and we are being told that we are doing the right thing. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
Okay, Mr. Heem. Item number 8, appointments. At this time, I have a motion to appoint Melissa Gonser to the Appearance Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Mason, seconded by trustee Roman. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis. Trustee Harris Jones. Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Ms. Gonser, if you please come up to be sworn in.
I state your name. I, Melissa Gonser, having been appointed to the Appearance Commission for the Village of Homewood, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the municipal ordinances of the Village of Homewood, and that I will faithfully discharge my duties on the Appearance Commission to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Item number 9, presentations, Ms. Maceras.
Surprise. Surprise.
Good evening. So on our agenda, Maple Tree, correct?
Yes.
We are, in 2019, the village approved a TIF incentive to help Maple Tree Inn locate to 18849 Dixie Highway.
Thank you. We can't hear you guys.
Can you hear now? Okay. Let me know if you can't hear. The village held a mortgage on the property. It served as a guarantee that the village could recover any of the incentive if the development were to fail because Maple Tree Inn was not yet open. This mortgage was to be forgiven when the Southgate TIF expired. Well, that TIF was terminated in 2024, and Maple Tree Inn has proven their success over 5 years, and therefore the village can now release the mortgage. Maple Tree Inn restaurant has, as I said, has been open for 5 years. It is highly regarded, well-established restaurant. It has been a fixture in the south suburbs for decades. And the restaurant brings strong customer base that adds to our community's visibility and standing. The release of the mortgage will require a authorization by the village board, and Eric Wenberg, the co-owner and chef of Maple Tree Inn, is at tonight's meeting to talk to us about the restaurant. Come on up. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Eric. Nice to meet everybody. Good evening, friends, neighbors, board members. It's honestly, it's a privilege to be here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Eric Wenberg. My wife Katie and I, who's much better looking than me, own the Maple Tree Inn. Very brief synopsis of our story. In 2018, we suffered a very devastating fire. It's not our fault. And we actually lived above the restaurant. It was located in Blue Island at that time. So we lost our business and our house the same day. And we started kind of trying to figure out, do we want to rebuild such and such? And I am exceptionally thankful that we landed in Homewood. Matter of fact, I actually think we texted at like 9 o'clock on a Thursday night and you answered the phone. So thankfully, the Maple Tree is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. And being in Homewood for that milestone has been perfect. Over the last several years, we've been honored by being named in the top 50 best Southern restaurants in America, along with being featured on NBC5, Chicago's Steve Dolinsky. He did a feature segment called The Taste of New Orleans. And last year, I sat down with ABC7, FX Network, and Hulu to discuss the season 3 premiere of The Bear. And most recently, we just wrapped filming for our second episode of HGTV's My Lottery Dream Home. That was while all of these seem noteworthy, and indeed they are, our greatest love has been serving our guests on a daily basis, many of whom live in Homewood and the surrounding area. We have been able to forge relationships and donate back to our community in the forms of various charitable contributions to local organizations and sponsoring Homewood and Flossmoor baseball and softball teams. We live in the immediate area, and that's also afforded us the opportunity to see firsthand the continued investment of the Village of Homewood within this community. Our senior management team and staff, most of whom live in Homewood, feel the same way. One of our philosophies is to hire like-minded individuals with a heart to serve people. And I don't mean serve dinner, I mean serve people. That's what we've received from the Village of Homewood and from all of you. Homewood has truly exemplified, both in its civic leadership and its community, that heart to serve people. The celebration of diversity and inclusion is one of our core tenets. And that's one of the things that we love about Homewood. Businesses collaborate together instead of tearing each other down. And just like in any position of leadership, this stems from the top, meaning civic leadership. For those of us who didn't grow up in Homewood, I didn't grow up in Homewood. I grew up in Oak Lawn. Katie grew up in Beverly. It's very, very evident that everybody in this village cares deeply. And that's one of the reasons we feel that Maple Tree has kind of been a hand in glove fit with Homewood. And from our hearts, we are so incredibly grateful to be here. And I truly look forward to many, many more milestones here in Homewood. So thank you for having us. It has been nothing but a pleasure being here, and I cannot wait to be here for another 50 years. So thank you guys, thank you board, thank you village. You guys are our friends, our neighbors, and we love you guys. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Eric. Oaths of office, Ms. Sikowski.
Tonight, I'd like to introduce Emma Lyons Weber as our new full-time finance clerk. She is a Homewood resident and has worked as a seasonal employee in Public Works with the Landscape and Maintenance Division since 2021. When the finance clerk position became available recently, she was identified as an ideal candidate from a previous recruitment effort and was offered the position. Emma's first day as a full-time clerk was on February 18th. She has a Bachelor of Science in Human Resource Management from Illinois State University, and I believe she's eager to learn all about our municipal operations as part of the finance department, and we're very excited to have you as part of our team and look forward to all that you can add to our department.
I state your name,
I am Lance Weber,
having been appointed to
having been appointed to
the position of finance clerk
the position of finance clerk
for the village of Homewood,
for the village of Homewood.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the municipal ordinances
and the municipal ordinances
for the village of Homewood,
for the village of Homewood,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
my duties as finance clerk
my duties as finance clerk
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Did Amy tell you about the speech you have to give? Chief?
If you can join me by the podium here.
Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to Alex Farkas, who was hired as a full-time police officer effective Monday, March 3rd, 2025. Officer Farkas applied for the position through the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners Police Officer Lateral Application Program. Since he is already a certified police officer who previously attended the police academy, he was eligible to immediately begin the Homewood Police Department field training program. Officer Farkas graduated from Luther East High School and attended Purdue University Calumet. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology with a concentration in criminal justice and a minor in history. He was previously employed as a full-time police officer for the village of Stager, where he served as a patrol officer, acting officer in charge, field training officer, accident investigator, and detective. In addition to his basic training academy certification, he is a state certified evidence technician, crash investigator, juvenile specialist, field training officer, and lead homicide investigator.
I state your name,
I, Alex Farkas,
having been appointed to
having been appointed
the
to
position of police officer
the position of police officer
for the village of Homewood,
for the village of Homewood,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the municipal ordinances of the
And-
village of Homewood,
and the municipal ordinances of the village of Homewood,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thomas, the omnibus vote, please.
The board is asked to approve the reappointment of Seth Bransky and Michael Cap to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 5-year term ending on March 11, 2030. The board is asked to approve a budget amendment of $85,000 to the general fund for the second incentive payment due to Stony Point Grill per redevelopment agreement.
board is asked to approve a budget amendment in the amount of $12,000 and authorize President Hofeld to enter into an incentive agreement with Olusalapai Ojenri Noah of Royal Cultures to provide financial assistance from the non-TIF Business Incentive Program. The funds are being used for building improvements such as new flooring, an upgrade to the electrical system, and a new outdoor sign for the expanded business at 1953-1955 Ridge Road. The board is asked to approve Resolution R 3213 that releases Maple Tree Inn at 18849 Dixie Highway from its $250,000 mortgage with the village. The money came from the Southgate TIF through a redevelopment agreement. At the time, which was 2019, the restaurant was not yet open. The village required the restaurant owners to agree to the mortgage with the understanding Maple Tree Inn would be released from the mortgage after a period of successful operation. The board is asked to pass Resolution R 3214, appropriating $750,000 of motor fuel tax funds, $650,000 for street patching and asphalt testing, and $100,000 for the purchase of rock salt for the period of May 1, 2025 to April 30, 2026. The board is asked to pass ordinance M 2346, directing Mayor Haney to solicit alternate bids and development.
Excuse me.
And develop,
Manager.
I'm sorry, directing Manager Haney to solicit alternate bids and development proposals for the property at 3003, 30025, 183rd Street, commonly known as the Great American Bagel Plaza in the 183rd West Redevelopment Project area. The village owns the property and knows of the interest from Rabbit Ground LLC to purchase and renovate the strip center. Because the property is in a TIF district, the village is obliged to announce the property's availability.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from anyone in the audience with regard to these matters? Board comments? Trustee Willis.
Yeah.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Nothing for me.
Trustee Mason.
No comment.
No comments. I like to see that we're helping the small businesses with the non-TIF program that we have. I think that's great for small business owners.
Is the owner here today? From the Royal
Cultures.
And you want to tell us about your expansion? Come on. Come on. Don't be shy.
You don't have to. If you don't do it.
Come on. You've been here before. Come on, you know it's easy.
Good evening. My name is Olusalape Ogunyela, and thanks for trying. But everybody calls me Lape for short. I've been blessed to have Royal Cultures on Ridge Road it'll be 4 years in July. And I had the opportunity to also expand last April to serve more people, create more jobs. And so what I do is I sell wigs and extensions. I started with servicing people I'm also a nurse. So this is like very passionate for me. I see a lot of people that lose their hair from medications, illnesses, treatments as well. And it's nothing like, it's a whole different experience if you lose your hair as a woman. So that's how Warrior Culture started. And it just grew to so many things. Now doing weddings, wigs is a now protective style. And I take care of people from all ages, down from 7 to my oldest client is 93. So I'm just blessed to be in Homewood. Thank you for your support. Who came visit a couple of times. I was surprised. But yes, I've been blessed to come here. The community loves me and I love you guys all back. And thanks for supporting and just tapping the window, just waving at us. Like we're trying our best to serve you guys. And thank you.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Willis. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
Aye.
President Hopefeld.
New business. Ms. Harris?
Yes. Under new business, we have a request from Epic Nutrition, which is located at 18111 Dixie Highway, to operate fitness classes, 1 day a week, for 1 hour. Epic Nutrition, if you're not aware, is a smoothie and juice bar that is already in existence as a restaurant. But the addition of fitness classes is classified in our zoning code as a indoor commercial place of assembly, which requires a special use. So they are asking for 1 fitness class per week, limited to 20 participants, which is part of the goal of their business, which is to offer their customers holistic health and fitness. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 3 yes to 2 no for this request. 2 members were absent from the meeting, and note that 4 affirmative votes are required for approval. Staff has evaluated the application and finds no reason why this use should not be accommodated at this space, since it is limited to 1 day a week and 20 participants. The owner of Epic Nutrition, Irby Solis, is here to answer any questions.
Come on up, tell us a little bit about what your plans are.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. First, glory to God, grateful to be here for the opportunity, Mr. Hopefield, I remember meeting you in 2013 and you gave me a good pep talk. So, yes, the family and I, we run a nutrition business. We focus on impacting the community, but just, we serve pure, I would say, we treat everybody like family. So we serve great nutrition. We try to memorize everybody's name who walks into our business. So we have like a little bit over 10,000 customers in our database. We try to memorize everybody's name, because it's important to us. We like to treat everybody like, like it really matters. It's not just a transaction, so we serve good healthy nutrition, supplements. We focus on just your overall health. We keep track of weight, metabolism, water levels, your body fat percentage, muscle mass. We keep track of everything. We keep track of those that are diabetic, make sure that everybody stays on track. And as an addition, we want to add this fitness class, as a perk for some of the customers that come in there already. So, it goes hand in hand, help them stay on track, So it's very simple. Any questions?
You're talking about 1 day a week for 1 hour,
Yes, sir.
and that's it?
That's it.
Okay. Any comments or questions from anyone in the audience with regard to this request? Yes, sir.
His neighbor and I support it.
Thank you. Thank you,
Craig.
He does remember your right name.
Okay, is there anyone else? If not, board comments?
Question, have you, located a day of the week that you're gonna have this smart class?
I was going for Monday, because most people feel guilty from the weekend. Usually Mondays are really busy because, they feel guilty from the weekend and, they're trying to eat better, they're trying to take care of themselves, so.
That's nice.
I just want to say I was present at the zoning commission session where it was a 3-2 vote. And one of the questions that was asked was, how do your neighbors feel about the music that you'll be playing for the dance class? And you said that not a problem because the rock shop is rocking. So, but I think that you're a great partner, great small business. So, yeah. I think it's a good idea.
Trustee Roman?
you had mentioned you were thinking maybe Monday, do you have an idea of what time you might have the class?
6 p.m.
Oh, 6, okay, yeah, I think it's great. I asked that because parking is such a hot topic in our downtown, so,
It is.
but I think with it being the one day a week and, only 20 people and you have the space to do it, I think all of that, I don't see an issue with it. I'm excited for you. I
Thank you.
hope it works out.
Thank you.
With that being said, may I have a motion to approve this with the caveat that it'll be 1 hour of operation and no more than 20 people.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor Hofer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. General board discussion, trustee Willis. Trustee
I would like to thank everyone for coming out this evening to our meeting.
Trustee Mason.
Thank you all for coming out. Appreciate all of the input and the different perspectives. It's always very helpful to the board to hear all sides of the story. So we thank you guys for your input. This is a democracy. It's one of the most fragile forms of government and it relies on active citizenry. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
And local government is where it is.
That's exactly where it is.
Trustee Roman.
Trustee Mason always has such a better way of saying all of those things than I ever could, but I agree. Thank you all for coming. I posted that we can't read every post. We can't be in every conversation out in the community. This is where you will get a chance to see all of us at the same time. You can have your voice be heard. So please, thank you for coming and please continue to come and share your ideas, thoughts, concerns with all of us.
Thank you. With that being said, may I have a motion to enter into closed session to discuss the review of closed session minutes and collective bargaining?
So moved.
Been moved by trustee Mason, second by trustee Harris Jones. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
President Hofer.
Aye. We'll take a short recess. Thank you all for being here.